Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for communication, one that's been shaping persuasive arguments for, get this, over 2,000 years.
So let's just start with a huge question. Whether you're pitching an idea at work, writing an essay for school, or, just trying to win an argument with a friend, how do you really convince someone? How do you make your ideas not just heard, but stick?
Well, the answer isn't some new life hack you'll find online. It's actually a strategic model that's been working for centuries. It's all about how three key things interact: you, the speaker, your audience, and, of course, the message itself. If you can master this triangle, you can basically unlock your persuasive potential.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start with the first corner of our triangle, and this one is all about you, the speaker. We call this ethos. Simply put, ethos is your credibility. It's the invisible foundation of your argument. It's what makes an audience even bother to listen to you in the first place. It answers that silent question that's always in the back of their minds. Yeah, but why should I believe you? So how do you establish it? Well, you build that trust through things like your expertise, your reputation, your lived experience. It's not just about having a fancy title. Think about it. If a doctor with 20 years of experience gives you medical advice, you're probably going to listen, right? That's ethos in action. It just makes your argument so much more powerful because they're coming from a source people already see as reliable.
All right, let's pivot to the next crucial corner of the triangle, pathos. Now, this one shifts the focus completely, from you to your audience.
Pathos is all about connecting with the heart. It's about building an emotional bridge between what you're saying and what your audience already feels, what they value, and what they believe in. So how do you actually tap into pathos? Well, it starts with truly understanding your audience. What are their hopes, their fears? Then you can do things like share a personal story or use language that's vivid and makes them feel something. When you appeal to emotions, you're not just giving people information. You're making your message feel important, even urgent. You're making sure it's not just heard, but actually felt. Okay, we've got credibility and emotion covered. So what's left? Well, it's the bedrock of any solid argument: logos. This is the actual substance of what you're saying.
Logos is all about the rational proof. It's the cold, hard evidence, the facts, the data, the stats, that backs up your claim and appeals straight to your audience's sense of reason.
You see, a well-built logical argument is just incredibly convincing because it's based on stuff people can check for themselves. It's like you're a detective building a case. You present one fact, explain what it means, and then link it to the next piece of evidence. When you build this logical step-by-step case that's supported by real data, you make it really, really hard for anyone to disagree with you. Okay, so here's the absolute most crucial point of all of this. Ethos, pathos, and logos. They don't just work on their own. Their real power, their magic, is only unlocked when you weave them all together. You should think of it like a cycle, where each part makes the others stronger. For example, hard data, that's logos, can make an emotional story even more powerful. That's logos boosting pathos. And when you have that emotional connection, pathos, your audience is suddenly way more open to hearing your logical points. And holding it all together is your credibility, your ethos, which acts as the foundation for everything you say. And that brings us to a really critical warning. Because if that balance is off, it can completely sink your argument, no matter how strong one part of it might be. And this is where it gets super interesting. The pitfalls are really clear. If you rely only on facts and logic, you'll come off as dry, maybe even boring. Rely only on emotion, and you might seem manipulative or like you don't have any real substance. And if you have weak ethos, if nobody trusts you, well, it doesn't matter how great your facts or your stories are, nobody's going to listen. So let's look at how a master does it in the real world. We're going to check out Shashi Tharoor's legendary speech at the Oxford Union, where he argued that Britain owes reparations to its former colonies. It's an absolute masterclass. So first off, Tharoor's ethos was locked in before he even said a word. Just being an invited speaker at a place as prestigious as the Oxford Union, on top of being a senior Indian politician, he was immediately seen as a credible, authoritative voice. The audience was basically primed to take him seriously from the get-go. Then, he masterfully appealed to the audience's pathos. He didn't just list a bunch of historical facts. No. He painted a vivid picture of the immense human suffering, of people being tortured and killed. This created this powerful wave of empathy, and it turned the debate from some dry academic topic into a matter of deep human injustice.
And finally, here's the knockout blow. He anchored his entire argument with logos. He brought out the receipts. He presented hard data on financial exploitation and cold, hard statistics on the loss of life. This grounded all of that powerful emotion in objective, verifiable evidence, making his argument both incredibly moving and logically airtight.
And this just brilliantly shows the core lesson here. By weaving these three strands together perfectly, credibility, emotion, and logic, the Ruhr created an argument that was just impossible to ignore.
So we've seen how a master does it, but how can you apply this in your own life? See, crafting the perfect message is only half the battle. You have to remember, a brilliant argument can be totally lost if the delivery is terrible.
This is such a key takeaway. You can have the perfect balance of ethos, pathos, and logos, but if your presentation is flat or uninspired, your message just won't land. Your content and your delivery, they are two sides of the same coin. They both have to be strong. So let's get practical. Here are 3 things you can do to really elevate your delivery. First, connect. And I mean really connect. Go beyond just reading your notes and actively listen. What's the audience's body language telling you? Second, engage. Don't just lecture at people. Ask questions. Use stories and examples that they can actually relate to. Make it a dialogue. And third, practice. This one's not negotiable. Record yourself speaking, watch it back, and get feedback. Communication is a skill, and like any skill, you get better with practice.
So now the ball is in your court. In your next presentation, your next big email, even your next important conversation, how are you going to balance your credibility, your logic, and that crucial emotional connection to really make your ideas resonate? Think about it.